Welcome to Lesson 5 for Captain Blender, our lesson on character modeling. In this lesson, we'll be forming the head for Captain Blender. This one's quite a bit more complex, so we'll likely be breaking this video down into 2 or 3 smaller videos. So let's get started. For this one, we're going to go ahead and hide the body. So I'm going to go ahead and select the body and hold Shift and select the belt, and let's hit H to hide. You could also do it over here in the menu. We could hide these on and off. But now we want to make sure that our 3D cursor is right there on the center in the world of origin. So just to be sure, let's do a Shift S and cursor to world origin to make sure it's right there on our X and Y axis. Now let's go ahead, Shift A, and add a cube. And just like before, we're going to start with a subdivided cube. So switch over to edit mode. And let's do a right click and let's choose subdivide. From our menu down here, our subdivide menu, we want to crank the smoothness all the way up to 1. And Shift Z to put it into wireframe mode. And now let's start scaling this to fit closer to the head. We want to make sure it stays on the Z axis, so when you move it up, be sure you hit G, then Z, so you can slide it up and keep it right on that Z axis. We'll go ahead and zoom in here. So I'm going to start getting the height of this, so I'll scale on the Z. And now I'll scale on the X to get the approximate width. Let's go ahead and get a side view now. Do the same thing here, scale on the Y. And it looks like we ought to push this forward just a little bit. So I'm going to grab it on the Y and just bring it forward a little. Alright, now back to our front view. Oop, there we go. I'm going to start box selecting some of these vertices so we can start shaping it a little closer. So first I want to deselect them. So I'll double tap the A. Now use box select, and let's start up here at the top. Let's scale this on the X. You can see how his head tapers in. We're going to try to capture that. Now this is still pretty pointy, so let's just select the top vertice, grab this on the Z and bring it down. Now let's deselect and box select the middle. Here I can scale in on the X a little bit. And deselect, and let's get the bottom. Okay, so we've essentially created this wedge shape. How about we bring this bottom one here up a little bit as well. Alright, now we have the basic shape for the front. Let's focus on the side view. So let's get 3 on your number pad. And let's start up here at the top. I'm going to deselect all my vertices, and let's get the top here. I can scale on the Y, grab it on the Y and push it back. Now for the middle of the face, we want it to hit the back of the head and come out here not as far as the nose, but where the nose would start. So after deselecting, let's get the middle here. Scale on the Y, grab on the Y. So you can see it's kind of going over the eyes and, again, not going out as far as the nose. Let's try the bottom now. Alright, now that we've got kind of a basic shape here, we see we ought to bring this down. So I'm going to deselect everything and just box select these 2 here in the front and grab them and just pull it on out where the chin is. Alright, now that we've placed these vertices for the chin, we're going to address this loop in the middle. I could box select this, or I could just simply hold the Alt key and select to get the loop all the way around, which I'm going to do. And grab this on the Z, and we're going to bring it down until it's just above the earlobe. I want to grab these ones in the front, so let's deselect. I'm going to use box select, just grab these, and put it right underneath the nose. And we need some more geometry for where the eye is going to go. So we're going to put 3 loop cuts in this area. So just Control R. Let's get 1 above the eye. Control R. Let's get 1 below it. and then one right in the middle. Now I have these 6 vertices here in the front, so if I deselect and select those, I'm going to grab them and slide them right over top of the eye. Alright, one more loop cut to go. But we're going to put one down here at the mouth, so I'm going to do a Control R. Set it so this second vertex hits the corner of the mouth. I'm going to deselect, select this vertex in the front, grab it and bring it up to the top of the lip. Now before we get any further, let's go ahead and save our file. So let's do a file, save as. You should be working from your lesson 4 file, but let's go ahead and change this to lesson 5. I'm not going to say lesson 5A because I know this one's going to take more than one video to complete. Okay, now just like with the body, we're going to put a mirror modifier on this. But we first need to delete the left side of our head. So deselect once again. I'm going to box select the left hand side and then hit X and delete these vertices. Now we can come over to our modifiers tab and let's add the mirror modifier. Alright, and go ahead and in the mirror modifier, go ahead and check clipping. Let's get a solid mode on this, so Shift C. And we can click over here on the modifier, that little triangle piece, to put the cage on the mesh so both sides will look the same. Next up, we're going to kind of rearrange these vertices for the eyes. Let's start with this one right here. I'm just going to grab it and lift it up so it's, above the center. This one, let's make horizontal. We can even push it out just a little bit. And this one, I would say, is already pretty much where it needs to be. So now we have it kind of angling down at the bottom and angling up at the top. We're going to create some more geometry for the eyes. So to do this, let's switch to face select mode. And I'm going to select these 2 faces on the right, and of course that shows on the left as well. And we're going to do an extrude scale. So E, then S, and bring it on in. Now that we've created our space for the eyes, we're going to put a couple vertical loop cuts in here that will eventually become the nose. So I'm going to do a Control R. Try that again. There we go. And I'm going to slide this so it's fairly close to the center. And then we're going to put a second one that's evenly spaced as well. Alright, so we've put in 2 vertical loop cuts here, pretty close to the center. Alright, next up we're going to make some knife cuts into our geometry here to help us form the mouth. And we're going to start right here in the middle of the eye. So I'm going to put my cursor here, hit K to activate our knife. Come straight down. Then I'm going to pop over here to the right, keeping an edge pretty similar to the edges I used over here in the center. So keeping the same border. Now when you get to this one, don't go all the way down to the bottom. Just bring it down to the corner so we can keep that same distance all the way around. And we're going to come right to the center and now press spacebar. So we can see we've created an edge that's generally the same width all the way around in this area. Okay, now that we have these cuts, I think this would be a good time to stop this video. So let's be sure to give it a save. Now, I do not need a screenshot or anything yet. We'll just pick up in the next video. But that's a lot to process, so let's give it a stop there, and we'll see you in the next one.